everything that we said so far, if the times of Mashiach we are going to be really in touch and have a revelation of the Yechida of our Neshama, then certainly the way we fulfill mitzvahs at that time has to be greater than it was in the times of David and Shlomo HaMelech. And we finished last week by saying that we're going to see three examples of three mitzvahs in the Torah where we can see that the way we do them now in Golos is really in a tzimtzumdik way, that Hashem, it's like he tolerates it, or he allows us to do mitzvahs in a certain way while we're in Golos, but Hashem's true rasa is for us to do it on a much higher level. So let's just get right into it, and we'll see how this plays itself out. Okay, so before we go into this example of the three mitzvahs and how we can do it in a much higher level, first let's go back. Have to remind ourselves of something that we mentioned in chapter Perek Yud. So first of all, now we're going to talk about how we can do mitzvahs, that we do mitzvahs within Teva, and that when Mashiach comes and we're going to be in touch with our Yechida, we'll be able to do mitzvahs b'chlal without any consideration of the parameters or the limitations of Teva. So we have to remind ourselves that really the truth is that Bnei Yisrael, as we mentioned, are not really limited in any way by Teva. We know that the way we are led and our behavior and everything about Bnei Yisrael that is based on a specific hashgacha pratis that of Hashem that is not based on Teva and not limited by Teva. We're a Maifis Masmi, Lashon Rambam. It's just that this hashgacha from HaKadosh Baruch Hu that is not according to Teva is currently clothed in Teva. Until it looks like you can look at it and think that it is according to Teva. We also already mentioned that in general, that's how we keep mitzvahs too. The truth is, the fact that Bnei Yisrael have kept mitzvahs throughout the generations and still keep the mitzvahs is really because Hashem is helping us. And it really is based on the miracles that Hashem shows us all the time, and that's above Teva. And we've also mentioned that when Hashem deals with us in a miraculous way from above, it's really connected to our behavior when we act in a miraculous way down here. In other words, when do we most get the actions of Hashem in a miraculous way? It's when we serve Hashem in a manner of Mesiras Nefesh, because that's a manner of serving Hashem without limitations. That kind of avodah comes from, of course, from our Yechida, which is above Teva, above nature. So keeping all of that in mind, we can understand now when we talk about how we keep mitzvahs. So we know, just like Hashem commands us to do the mitzvahs, at the same time, He is promising us to, from His point of view, to help us to be able to complete all those mitzvahs. So too, it's if just like Hashem promises us that He's going to help us in a miraculous way to keep the mitzvahs, so too from our side, from a Jew's point of view, He also is expected that He's also going to fulfill the mitzvah in this manner of miracle. Mesiras Nefesh built in Megillah, from this aspect of Mesiras Nefesh without any boundaries. Now, so what does it mean to do mitzvahs in a miraculous way? We know that even though every single mitzvah really does have its limitation, there's a certain quantity or quality of a mitzvah. There's b'derech hateva, Purim is coming up, and we know Shalach Manos. There's a concept of Shalach Manos in a limited way, 2 different kind of foods given to at least one person. So we know what that is, right? There's things in Teva, that's the minimum. Without having to go outside of the parameters of nature. And fulfilling mitzvahs on this constant manner, the way we fulfill mitzvahs all day and all the time, is based on this idea of Kabbalah Soul, simple Kabbalah Soul. We first accept upon ourselves the Malchus of Hashem, that we're going to serve Hashem, and then we accept upon ourselves the all of mitzvahs. And for that, just to do mitzvahs in a plain, simple way, that does not really require any mitzvahs nefesh. However, the Rebbe explains that the highest, this general highest of the mitzvahs, that when we talk about the fact that when we recognize that we are created only to serve Hashem, so when we have that kind of an attitude that the only reason we are here, the only reason we exist is to serve Hashem, that becomes an obligation that's not limited and that really encompasses our entire lives in every single moment of our lives. This is despite the fact that all of our koiches are limited. And so fitting in with that, the fact that we said we have to serve Hashem in everything that we're doing, Hashem, the Rebbe explains that all the avodah that we do, everything that we do, is based needs to be based on Kabbalah's all and Mesiras Nefesh. What does that mean? Mesiras Nefesh he koyach bilti mugbal sharak al yoda efshalama b'chiv bilti mugbal. Because Mesiras Nefesh is really the koyach that we have that's not limited, and only through that are we able to withstand or be able to fulfill that obligation that we have in an unlimited way. As the Alter Rebbe explains, that the path of Yechida, the strength of it is to be able to be victorious over the Yetzer at all times and all situations. Hirak al yidei sheyizkar tamid in mesiras nafshay la'Hashem al yichudai sheyeh kavu b'livay tamid mamash yom v'la lo yimush mizichrayinai. So where that power of the Yechida to always be able to overcome the Yetzer Hara, where does that come? It only comes when a person constantly remembers this concept, the mesiras nefesh that he has in his heart, so that the unity of for the unity of Hashem. In other words, that we're never going to be separate ourselves from HaKadosh Baruch Hu. And when that is constantly established in a person's heart, day and night, and he doesn't ever forget that, that is what allows him to at all times be able to remember the purpose of why we're alive and what we're doing. And that's the concept of Mesiras Nefesh. But then the Rebbe goes back and he does put parameters around this. This doesn't mean that all day long, all he's thinking about is Mesiras Nefesh. And that's his entire day. It's just that what? That in the course of the entire day, what is guiding him? What does he feel in his memory? The Mesiras Nefesh that he has remembered or that he acknowledged at the time that he said Shema. That then helps him and supports his avodah of Torah mitzvahs throughout the day. Because that's the main thing, the avodah of Torah mitzvahs, that's the main avodah that he has throughout the entire day. So we could perhaps compare this to what we said in earlier chapters when we talk about miracles that are enclosed within Teva and hidden within the Teva. It's the same thing here. This koach mesiras nefesh mistate ba'avodah haragila hayom yamis bekim hamitzvos she'ikar b'derech kabbalas al pshuta. So just like we talk about miracles, that miracles can be enclosed in nature and therefore we don't see it, in the same way, there's this koach mesiras nefesh, the koach avodah chita, that's kind of hidden in the regular day-to-day avodah that we do in keeping the mitzvahs, even if we're just doing it in that kabbalas al manner. Within that is hidden this koach of Mesiras Nefesh. And again, this fits in with that principle that we mentioned in chapter 11, that the source of Malchus is in Pnimis HaKeser. So Malchus, which we said was the idea of Kabbalas Ol, the root of that is in Pnimis HaKeser, which is of course that aspect of Atmos and Yechida. So too, we say the root of all the constant avodah that we do on a day-to-day level, even if it's just at the level of Kabbalas Ol, that we're just doing it because we know Hashem wants us to do this. But that is Meyusad al Zichron Inyan HaMesiras Nefesh, that's the Pnimis HaKeser. It's the foundation of that is remembering the concept of Mesiras Nefesh. That's the Malchus that's hidden in the Pnimis HaKeser. Uchedarko Shel Shorish, liyos nelam v'nistar, and just like any sort of shirish, any roots are normally hidden. Kach gam b'inyanenu, koach mesiras nefesh hu nelam v'nistar b'einu miskala ba'avodah hayom yomik b'chol takvay. So too, mesiras nefesh is the root of our avodah, and it's hidden. It's not really revealed on a day-to-day level and its full strength. Now, all of this, the idea that we do mitzvahs, the Kabbalah's all, and even though it's rooted in the Koach Mesiras Nefesh, that's talking about the very basic obligation of mitzvahs that is equal for every person. And of course, that minimal mitzvahs that exactly the same for everybody is a limited mitzvah. In other words, it's a mitzvah with very particular parameters. And therefore, these mitzvahs, the general mitzvahs that we all know in our times, are mitzvahs that we can actually accomplish with just Kabbalah's all, while this koach mesiras nefesh is completely hidden. And therefore, also in this time, when we do mitzvahs in this matter, that Hashem is supporting us in a miraculous way, because that's how Bnei Israel survive anyway, but it's enclosed within Teva, that allows us to do all the mitzvahs in this matter. The truth is, though, Yeshna b'chol mitzvah, pratis, drisha bilti mugbelas v'altivis. In every single mitzvah, every single individual mitzvah, there's also an expectation of an unlimited manner of how we do that mitzvah. And being able to do every particular mitzvah in this particular unlimited way, that is only possible when there is a revelation of the Yechida. That's the nes in the person, like that miracle, like that banner in the person, is the Yechida. And therefore, the actual manifestation of this real expectation or desire of Hashem to do the mitzvahs in this manner can really only be revealed in the times of in the future. When the Yechida is revealed. Because then when the Yechida is revealed, then this miraculous behavior that is completely not limited by Teva will also be revealed. As we will now explain in the three examples that we're going to see, starting with the example of Talmud Torah. Rivki, would you like to take over?
Sure.
Thanks.
Mitzvos Talmud Torah, Perek Echad Shachris, Oy Teras Chakva. Psak HaRambam Behilchos Talmud Torah, Kol Ish Yisrael Chayav B'Talmud Torah. So the ruling of the Rambam in the halachas of learning Torah is that every single Jew is obligated to study Torah. Chayav L'Kvay Le'Zman L'Talmud Torah B'Yayim U'Balayla. He needs to set up a time to learn Torah both during the day and the night. Because it says you should, what's the word Vigisa again? You should
delve into it. You basically
toil.
Be busy.
Okay.
Toil. Yeah.
Day and night. והכוונה היא שיהיה לכל אחד זמן מסוים ומוגבל ללימוד ביום בלילה. And the meaning of this is that every person should have a very specific set time to learn during the day and the night. K'divrei Chazal, Perek Echad Shachar, Perek Echad Arvis. In the words of our Chachamim, one chapter in the morning and one chapter in the evening, but it needs to be something like consistent. Ubehemshech ha'inyan, Kasaf Rambam. And in continuation of this topic, the Rambam writes, Mishin nasai liba lekayim mitzvah zu kara'oi v'liyas muchtar bekeser Torah lo yasiach datei ledvarim acherim v'leyasim alibai sheyikna Torah im ha'oisher v'akaved ka'achas. So somebody whose heart wants to fulfill this mitzvah properly, to truly be crowned with the crown of Torah, he should not let himself be distracted by anything else, and he should not have in his heart I guess, desire to acquire both Torah and also wealth and honor at the same time. Asei terascha kva umalchascha arai. Make your Torah established, like fixed, set, and your work should be what's temporary. Yizar b'chol leilaisa v'lo yavad afilu echad mehen b'shena v'achila v'shtia v'sicha v'kiyetz behen ela b'talmud Torah v'divrei chachma. He should be careful with his entire night not to waste even one of them with sleeping, eating, drinking, or talking or anything like that. But he should spend his nights with learning Torah and words of wisdom, I guess, of Torah. Nimtzu. So it comes out that there's two levels in fulfilling the mitzvah to learn Torah. Hadarga hapsisis hashavel chal nefesh. So there's the basic level, which is equal for everyone. Belimad mukbal parak achad shachar is a parak achad arvis. To learn, something very, like set and limited, one chapter in the morning and one chapter in the evening, and the person says, look, I fulfill this mitzvah to learn Torah day and night. Achkiyam mitzvah karoi, but to keep the mitzvah properly, who rak bismasras muchletis la'amal haTorah, is only when the person gives himself over completely to his toil in Torah. And as the Rebbe emphasizes or makes more clear and sharp, mitzvah de Talmud Torah he sheyasek batamid yoma v'layla b'chol rega panoi lemayla midid v'agbala. The mitzvah of learning Torah is to fulfill it constantly, to be busy with it constantly, day and night, in every single spare second, in a way that's completely above any limitations or boundaries. So it's like two ways to fulfill the mitzvah, which are really, really different than each other. Now, because the natural system, the way of the world is that a person needs to work hard for his parnasa. And like it says in Torah that a person needs to gather all his grains and what are those things?
The wine
Crops.
and the oil.
The wine and his oil. And many people need to work for their parnasa most of the day, almost the whole day. Therefore, we have this first level of the mitzvah, where a person makes his Torah learning, very set and limited. Because this is matching the boundaries of the laws of nature, that a person needs to earn a livelihood. But in order to be crowned with the crown of Torah, is through making his work temporary. He needs to rely on. It requires special help from above. So in order to come to this place of being able to make his work in a temporary way, he needs to rely on Hashem in a way that there's nothing that stops Hashem from saving a person. And it doesn't matter if we work a lot or a little, it's all in Hashem's hands anyway. So even working a little bit in a temporary way is enough for him, because he says that Hashem is the one who's giving him salvation and success. Beyond the laws of nature. Do you want to fix something or add something anytime? Okay. Imki kemuvan hakavana le siyua eliki she'enei mishadit es hanagas hatava.
Teva,
Again,
Teva, Teva.
Teva, right? So if the intention is for help from Hashem, which is not in the way of nature, ela yesh lai
It does.
achiza
So we're
b'tava.
saying, even though what we're saying, no, we're saying is can
Uh,
move on, like as we understand to be. But when we say he's relying on
uh,
Hashem in this miraculous way, the kavanah is obviously help of Hashem that doesn't deny or negate nature, right? In other words, it's a help of
right,
Hashem
because he's
through,
still
right?
working, but he's working in a
Right.
very in a very temporary, short way, and saying like, "This is I made a keli," and that's it.
Yeah.
That he
And
did make a
Hashem helps
keli,
it,
but that's
and the help of Hashem is in B'derech Teva, El Yesh Lachit B'Teva, right? It doesn't negate Teva, it's closing Teva. Like, for
mm-hmm,
example, a person who opens his store, and he opens his stores a couple hours a day because he learns, I would think Crown Heights, they open 3 hours a day, that's enough, they shut again, they don't care, So the point is that a person relies on Hashem, said, I don't have to spend a whole day in the store, I can open for 3 hours, and Hashem can send me my customers in those 3 hours, and that's it, right? I can close
mm-hmm,
shop. So that's the idea. I can make that a very temporary thing. We think, when you look at the stories of the Rashi and the Even Ezra and the Ramban and all of the Orach Chaim HaKadosh, they had jobs, right? But the jobs weren't. That wasn't their like they went to work a couple hours and then Rashi had vineyards and I forgot all whatever. I mean, Even Ezra was never successful. He said every time he did anything he said he said about himself that if he made shrouds, everybody would stop dying. But the point is that we can do things a little bit, and then B'derech Hateva, Hashem can make that happen. That we get Hashem's help, and even though we're only doing a little bit of work, Hashem can make that enough.
mm-hmm.
Okay.
ובענייננו שגם הישועת השם והצלחת הבא לעושה תרסי טבע יש לה אחיזה בכלי הטבע. So the salvation of Hashem and his success, which comes in thanks to him making his Torah permanent, right? His main occupation. It has a natural vessel, shall malach say, right? It has this vessel of a temporary work. שלכן זה יכול להיחשב בכל מצוות תלמוד תורה המתקיימת בשכל המציאות הטבעית דווקא. So we could consider his learning Torah that it is still in a way of nature. It's not just somebody who, is having whatever, has some miraculous way of making a living. Like it says that this Torah, her laws and statutes are for this world specifically. So he is living in this world, just a tefach hecher. וכיוון שהמצוות נתנו לבני ישראל לפי כוחן, because the mitzvahs are given to the Jewish people according to our power, our potential abilities. לכן גם אחיו של מצוות תלמוד תורה המיועד לכל נפש הוא במידה מצומצמת ומתאימה לגבולת הטבע. Therefore, the obligation to learn Torah, which is meant for every single person, is in a very constricted way, which matches the limitations of the natural world. V'adarga shel keser Torah, the level of the crown of Torah, eina chayav l'kol. It's not required for everyone. Elam yedis rak l'mi shenisai libai mersani atayiv. This level is for those whose heart desires, has this good desire to unite with Hashem in a higher way. Harambam. In connection with the future time, the Rambam rules. Okay, so in connection with Mashiach's times, the Rambam writes that in that time there will be so much good, so much abundance, and delicacies will be found like dust, and therefore the occupation of the entire world will be only to know Hashem. And the Rebbe explains, Moral Kach Rebbe, Kavanas HaRambam hi lahatkish asher b'yamaisa Mashiach yisku kol Yisrael liyos muchtarim b'keser Torah. So what the Rambam's intention here is to emphasize that in the days of Mashiach, every Jew will merit the crown, to be crowned with the crown of Torah. That even though now it's also available to every Jew, nevertheless, not every Jew merits this. To be able to fulfill all these conditions that it requires. But in that time when we'll truly be free to be totally focused on Torah and her wisdom, and there's going to be so much abundance that we don't need to work. In that time, the entire world will be occupied only with knowing Hashem. So all of the Yidden will be crowned with the crown of Torah. This is what that's the difference. So in the future, not only will there be the fulfilling of the mitzvah to learn Torah in a complete way, that everyone will fulfill the halachic requirements for learning Torah. But more than that, the way that we will fulfill this mitzvah, the way that every single Jew will fulfill the mitzvah, will be in the highest way possible. Way above the basic requirement of halacha. Which is above the level that a person can reach with his own powers today. Because in that time, every Jew will have this special godly help. There's going to be so much abundance of good.
Which means that doesn't have to work so hard. There's a lot more free time. Yeah.
Right. Why do we need to work if everything is just, yeah.
Well, the thing is, and that's the point. So that's what we're going to see now. It's not that we're not going to work at all, because we said if the world is going to run the way the world runs, that means we'll still need to work. But what? It'll be the other way around, right? People will see. Yeah. But
even then, even in Mashiach times, this godly help will still be a miracle enclosed in nature. That even then, the normal order of working will still remain. But every single Jew will be on this level that the Torah is what's permanent and the work is what's temporary. This is news for me. So, like what the Rambam writes in his explanation of the commentary of the Mishnah should be Maisa Mashiach la yishtana b'metzias shum davar mima shehu ata. That in the days of Mashiach nothing will change from the way it is now. Aval ba'isam hayamim yenekom al bnei adam limtzei mechayasan. But in that time, it will be very easy for people to find their livelihood. To the point that a person will, put in a tiny drop of effort, and the results will be great. And he brings a proof that the non-Jews will be the ones to work with our vineyards or something.
Yeah, they'll be the farmers and they'll be the ones who work in the vineyards.
Which shows,
what does that show you?
Which lets us know that there will still be the natural way of, needing someone to actually plant and reap, but it's going to be, it's not going to really take time from us.
not very little time, right? And that's the idea, because we keep saying that the world, if the mitzvahs have to be done in this world, that means we still need to work al derech hateva, because we have mitzvahs involved, like with Shemitah, you have mitzvahs of Truma, you have mitzvahs of Mitzvahs. So we have to have a world running the way it runs. But it's going to be exactly the opposite. Instead of having to do, Parak Echad Shachris, Parak Echad Arvis, and have a minimal amount of Torah learning a day, and to be yotzed the halacha that way, it'll be the opposite way around. We'll have to work maybe an hour a day, maybe an hour in the morning, an hour in the afternoon, and that's it. And the rest of the time we can sit and learn, and that will
And
be
what
enough.
about the rest of the world? Will they also need to? Well, like, because they're also going to be busy with knowing Hashem, right? So is that going to apply also to Gaim?
Good question. How much is going to apply to them is the question.
Mm-hmm.
Because we know here, look, if you look at the bottom in this one, right? B'siyum v'chayis Mishnah Torah Kasav Rambam Shabbat says man lo ye'etza kol ha'olam ela das Hashem b'lvad. Right? That's how the Rambam ends. That the entire world will not be kol ha'olam ela ladas. Right? The only thing they'll be doing is but knowing Hashem. Mashma sheshayla afil emul miat. And you can say, well, that if you're saying you're only going to know Hashem, that seems to negate even a little bit of work, right?
Mm-hmm.
בכדי להטמיע את דבר שם, לדבר בפרש משנה, צריך להוציא דבר בפשוטם, לדבר בלבד, לאו דווקא ממש. So the Hadron of the Rambam, the Rebbe writes in Tafshim Hey, that we're forced to say, in order to fit in what the Rambam says at the end of Mishnah Torah to what he's saying in Parish Mishnayos, we have to say that when the Rambam writes, Lo yeseh kol adam ela das b'Hashem b'lvad, it's lav dafka. It's not meaning that that's all that we do, is just to sit and learn.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe it's that we're only learning about Hashem, and maybe it's like not other things and other, religions that they look at. It's
That's
like
our ethic, but maybe there's
right, but it's only ladas is Hashem, not ladas all their other things, right? Like the Rambam himself says that all the people of the world will recognize that it's only Hashem, not anything else. However, we keep going. Right, almost till where we at, like 6 years later, the 100 of the Rebbe. So there the Rebbe says that when we say that the Rambam writes that we'll do nothing except knowing Hashem, that's the second stage. The Rebbe explains that there are the two stages of Yimais Mashiach. So there the Rebbe explains that we have two stages. The first stage of Mashiach is where the world still runs the way it normally runs, and that's where we're still going to work, and even our work that will be like what we're saying here a little bit, and we'll have a lot. But then when the Rambam is saying that then we don't have to do any work at all, that's a completely miraculous stage, and that's the second stage. Then, if we go according to that this is really the second stage, we can learn it then according to Pshat. In that second stage, there's no work at all. And we can say that Parish Mishnah is talking about the first stage. And that's what we're talking about now. We'll look at this more. So it's not, let's say, a contradiction. We could say this is the first stage, and it's the second stage where we don't work at all. But the first stage, we still are talking about the world as it is. But again, we work very little with a lot of gain for it.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Now, yeah, that makes a lot of sense about the two stages.
Okay, you want to continue?
Okay. Should I continue? Or did you say?
Yeah. You're welcome to continue.
Okay. Bracha, do you want to read today? Let us know if you want to read. Okay. Ube haspara pnimis yaiser. To explain in a deeper way. Hamusa kasser tyra shakafir his mastros muchlatis la'amala tyra canal. This concept of the crown of Tyra, which is connected to giving yourself over completely to the toil of Tyra that we spoke about before. This is referring to the what's dveikas, like the
connection when you're stuck together.
Very deep connection, like glue. Yes. Of the yechida of the Jew to the Tyra of Hashem. As we understand from the Rebbe's words about this topic, this advantage of being crowned with the crown of Torah, that a person is so invested and like involved in learning Torah that this becomes his entire existence. That he's crowned, meaning he's surrounded by the words of Torah, to the point that it becomes his existence and his essence. It's impossible to separate between him and the Torah that he learns. Nothing in the world could push away something that's connected to him himself, meaning it's not just Torah that he learns, it's who he is. This expression that it's impossible to separate him from his Torah, because this is something that's like connected to his essence of who he is, is taken from the world of concepts, which is referring to the yechida of the neshama. And it's coming to show us that this connection of the person with the Torah is a complete total giving over, which comes from the essence of his soul, this level of his yechida. So yeah, it's a very, very deep union that, like the person uniting with the Torah, this comes from the yechida. Like we explained before, that this level of yechida is the miracle within every person, which arouses Hashem to run the world in a miraculous way, his miracle level. So too here, that this giving over of a Jew to Torah in the level of the crown of Torah, which is above nature. This arouses the same effect above, because he's giving himself over to Torah in a way that's really above nature. Hashem helps him in a way that's completely above nature, that his little bit of work should be so successful, which is really not natural. And as we see, as we explained in previous chapters, that this level of yechida exists in every single Jew equally. The only difference is if it's revealed or hidden, but it's there equally in every single Jew. This is true also with the crown of Torah, as is explained in another place. The crown of Torah is available. It's standing ready for every Jew. Everyone who wants could come and take it. The Torah was given by Hashem in a way that it's connected with the essence of every Jew. Or so come and take it. It's already yours, but the offer to come and take it is that the crown of Torah, should be like revealed in a complete way.
Well, it'll be expressed in a way that it could actually come out. Yeah.
So it's like it's your crown, and just you need to reveal it by giving yourself over in this way. ומכל זה מובן שבנגיע לזמן של הסלווה, so from all this we understand in connection with the future, שאז יזכה לה הקשר האמיתי של עצם הנשמה של כל יהודי עם הקדוש ברוך הוא. That in that time the essential neshama connection is going to be revealed, the connection that every single Jew has with Hashem. ואזי יזכה לה גם הקשר האמיתי של עצם נשמתו של כל יהודי עם התורה. So in that time, the essential true connection that every neshama, every Jew has with the Torah will also be revealed. Just like our unity with Hashem, I guess it's like Hashem, the Torah, and the Yidden. So all of that, it's really one, and all three will be revealed in the future, which is now. And likewise, this godly help, miraculous help, will be given to every Jew, that he should really be able to give himself over to Torah in this way. So Dafka, in this way, in this time, will be able to fulfill the mitzvah of Torah in a complete way. So we have this mitzvah now, but when Mashiach comes is when every single Jew will be able to fulfill this mitzvah in a complete and true way.
Right. Remember, we're showing that just like the Rambam is saying, that when Mashiach comes, it's not just going back to the times of David and Shlomo when we were able to fulfill all the mitzvahs. It's got to be greater, because Mashiach is greater than David and Shlomo. David and Shlomo, we said, we're at the level of Malchus, now we're at the level of Yechida, so therefore the way we're going to be able to do mitzvahs is also going to be at a much higher level. And so that's the example. We see this example. We're going to see two more examples, but here we can see that, right? That there are these two levels. There's the basic level of learning Torah, and then there's the idealized level that some people do even today. They dedicate their whole lives to just learning. Most people can't. But in times of Mashiach, that idealized way of learning Torah will be available and will be something that all Jews will be able to do. We talk to see that.
I mean, in the way, like, we see a lot of, I don't know what it's not exactly, I mean, obviously it's very far from the true and complete Geula, but like when you see Jews, like this Yechida coming out, and when you see, like this Israeli comedian saying, I'm going to keep Shabbos for the first time this week. I want, 100,000 Jews to keep Shabbos for the first time. Like this is the Yechida, and he's not doing it for something. He's doing it just because I'm a Jew. And it's something, like this concept of the Yechida being revealed in people who was sleeping for all their entire life. It's something very Geuladic, because this is like those, these sparks coming out. And even, I don't know, like even, yeah, I mean, it's still not the way it should be. But even when, like if Bibi is saying, we're going to stand up to world pressure, like it's a big deal. It's a big deal. It really, if it's sincere, right, then it's coming from a very, very deep place to be able to,
And that's just the Eibusha should look down and see how the Yechida is being revealed, and let us be able to have that Gula Mitzvah Shlema when we don't have to worry anymore about world pressure. We don't have to stand up against it. They will all recognize the truth. And
I mean,
be to be able to allow our Yechidas all to shine fully.
Yeah, and just imagine how, how beautiful it will be to live in such a world where every single Jew's Yechida is revealed.
Maybe see it.
I mean, thank you so much, Sarah.
Really say, you're very welcome. I wish everybody a fair Purim.
In Yerushalayim.
It's funny, they say, everyone always says kosher and freilich and Pesach, right? People say kosher and freilich and Pesach. But really, we should say a kosher and freilich and Purim. Yeah, kosher
Yeah,
Freilich
well,
Pesach. We should say Freilichen and kosher. Pesach will be kosher anyway, so it should be a Freilichen and kosher and Pesach, and Purim should also be a kosher and Freilichen Purim. You know,
I
with
mean,
all the
yeah.
money
So
that
it
gets
should
sent
be
around
in,
and all. You know, we should celebrate in Yerushalayim.
yeah,
Amen. And you're only
yeah. Then we'll,
Yeah.
are we gonna all, like, yeah, I guess we'll all be celebrating Shushan Purim as well. Be'ezer Hashem.
back to Hashem.
All the best. Thank you so much. And bracha, Basuras Taivis, and for
Yeah.
Lipa Taivis, everyone.
We'll get to see bracha face to face.
Yeah. Sounds good.
Helter.
Yeah.
Bye bye.